Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily if you're new. I am so excited today because I'm going to do a VR to Brant at Moonbaby's really popular tag that he did probably quite a while ago now when you're seeing this, because it takes me a few weeks to actually edit and get these videos up and running. But lots and lots of people have really enjoyed doing this tag, and I've loved watching everyone's responses. And when I first saw Brant do this video, I wasn't sure if I could do it because I don't have lots of vintage copies of decks and I don't have lots of collector's items really. But then when I started looking into it, I do think that I'm able to do this tag because I do have something to fit into every single category, even if it might not be, you know, what I would expect it to be. You know, I don't have a Blushing Fool and I don't have a non-copyright Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but I do think that I can share my responses, and I'm just really excited to get involved and get stuck in. I really wanted to be able to be part of the community more and to share my responses and just to be more vocal and just like get more involved. Here is my place to do that. So waffling aside, I'm just going to get right on into the questions that Brant asks. So the first question is your most expensive deck. It's a tie between two decks. I'm not entirely sure which one was more expensive. I think it might have been the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcana first edition. I ordered this not from Little Red Tarot because it was out of stock at the time, but I ordered this from Andrea Furtick herself, which is lovely because it's signed. I believe I ordered it just before the beginning of lockdown, and then because everything took such a long time to ship internationally, it ended up getting stuck somewhere for about 2 months, I think. I think it was probably stuck at the border in the UK for like 2 months, so it really took a long time to get to me. That wasn't anything to do with Andrea, of course, like she sent it straight away. I did pay a customs charge as well as like the shipping from the States to England, and then for the deck as well, because it's an independent deck, it is more pricey than other decks, so I think it might have been around £90 for this deck, but totally worth it anyway. And it's such a beautiful deck. I have shared a walkthrough of this deck, but here are just a few cards to give you an idea. Just the most beautiful melanated Rider-Waite-Smith kind of clone deck. Is stunning. I absolutely love the artwork in this deck, and it is a beautiful one to work with. I get really clear messages, and I just love the imagery. It's just perfect. It's one of my favorites actually. The other one is Bone Stone, which I missed the Kickstarter for, and then I was signed up to all of the alerts and everything, and so then when this became available I snapped it up straight away from Etsy, and I think it was £80 plus a little bit of shipping. So again, kind of similar, but totally worth it. Completely and utterly totally worth it. I'm sure a lot of you have seen lots of imagery from this deck, so I'm not going to get it out, and I did do a full walkthrough of this deck as well on my channel, so if you want to check that out, please do. I don't believe there are any available anymore. There's been a lot of talk about it in the community, of course, you'll know, but potentially you know, here's hoping that they do another. I think that a lot of people would love that. Yeah, it's a beautiful deck and I absolutely love it. The next one is your least expensive deck. So I have a few, technically not tarot, but I purchased this Alice playing card deck. So it's Macmillan Alice in Wonderland pack of cards. It's got the original illustrations, and I use this to kind of learn cartomancy with, you know, playing cards. I don't have any Lenormand cards as such, but this is like my first deck, and I picked this up recently. This was $6.99. Oh, this was $4.99, I believe. $4.99 or $5.99. This is my first, I believe it's Lenormand. I don't have any other Lenormand decks, but it's a specific, it's the Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing cards. They look like playing cards, but they've also got other images, and you lay them out in like a tableau as if you were doing Lenormand. Not that I know how to read Lenormand, so potentially it's exactly the same. These are what the cards look like, and it's kind of cool. I haven't actually done the spread as instructed because I've only had this for maybe 3 weeks, but I've been pulling a few cards alongside my daily tarot reading, and I found it quite interesting. Actually, it's been eerily accurate on a few occasions. Very interesting. This was $6.99. But where tarot is concerned, I believe my cheapest deck was the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Stell. This was on Amazon, and I got this at the beginning of the year or way earlier in the year, and this I think was £11 when I picked it up, so a real steal. Many of you have seen this deck. It's, again, just a brilliant Rider-Waite-Smith clone, just modernised, of course. I really enjoy this deck a lot. So the next question is the deck other collectors want to steal from your collection. I don't know, really, because I'm not one of those other people, but potentially this Bone Stone, because it's now obviously out of print. The other one I thought was maybe the 78 Tarot Elemental, because again, this is also out of print, I believe, unless you buy the whole lot. This one I actually won from Lisa at Supportive Tarot. I absolutely love her channel. I love everything about the way she does her readings, and it's just so much fun watching her channel. She's excellent. Yeah, this was a competition win. She shipped it, and it was so odd because it was during lockdown. She posted it and it arrived like 2 days later from the States, so I was like, that's some kind of magic you did there. This is such a beautiful deck, and potentially now this is out of print as well, people would want this. Editing Emily here, and I apologise for the bad lighting. I was just going to put away all of the decks that I got out for filming this video, and then I realised I wanted to talk about this one because I did get this Bohemian Gothic Tarot Mini when it was last available. So I'm not sure which edition this is, but obviously this is out of print now, and I do think this could possibly be one of the decks that someone would potentially like to steal from my collection, but I completely forgot to mention it, so I just thought I would sneak this little clip in here because I do think this is definitely a deck that a lot of people still want. I would absolutely love to get my hands on the Victorian Romantic Tarot by Baba Studios, as well as the Fairy Tale Tarot, but those are unavailable as well, and they go for a lot of money on eBay and such, as this one does. You know, I've seen it pop up for like £150, even just the mini, so potentially this is one that someone would like to steal. I do wish I had the full size, so potentially one day I would like to get my hands on a full-size deck, but the mini ones were the only ones available at the time, so I jumped. So that's this one, and now back to the main video. And the other one is Legend the Arthurian Tarot. This is out of print as well. I picked mine up from eBay. I was searching for a while, I had my alerts on. These were going for maybe £100, £150. One came on for £15, and I snapped it up really quickly. So actually I don't think I paid £15 either, because I made an offer on it. I think I paid £12.50 for it. The book hadn't been used, literally it was brand new. The cards were sort of barely used, they're just a little bit out of order, so I just reordered them and made sure everything was fine, but they'd been barely used. It was perfect condition basically. So I was really lucky to get this deck because I had wanted it. It was on my list for a while. I love this deck, so if I didn't have this deck I'd want to steal it from someone else's collection, so that's where my brain is going with it. The only issue with this deck is because it's an old deck, the box is really bad for holding the cards, and they're not out at the moment in my altar space, so I really need like a bag for them because they just fall everywhere and it's not an ideal box. But because it is an old deck, it did come with one of these like mats where you've got the positions and you can do your readings on the mat, which is quite cute. Right, the next question was your strangest deck, and this one had me a bit stumped. I wasn't entirely sure, but I did pull a couple off my shelf. This is the Celestial Tarot. I got this year. This one is interesting because it kind of doesn't really follow the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, and instead it's got celestial meanings. It talks about astrology basically, so Gemini here, and it just matches all of the signs up to cards, which I really like. And I actually wanted this because of the artwork in it. I thought the artwork was stunning, and I really liked the way that the astrology was built into it so that it could help me learn potentially. So I do enjoy this deck a lot. Another deck I found really strange is this. This is the Labyrinth Tarot by Luis Royo. I also have the Royo Dark, which again is quite strange. This one I think is stranger. I mean, lots and lots of body beautiful, sexy women in it, which I quite like. You know, I really like images of beautiful women. Of course, it would be nice to have some more diversity there in terms of skin color, in terms of like body type and shape and size and age and all of that. But it is a beautiful deck, and I really enjoy the edges. I quite like the borders on this deck and the backs. I absolutely love the backs on this deck, and it's got the most beautiful illustrated majors, and then the minors are pips, which kind of did throw me because I'm not so hot with the pips, but I'm learning, and I think it's really great to bring numerology into it as well, so I'm getting more confident with this. The reason I picked up the Dark Royo was because I really liked his artwork. I find it beautiful and seductive and erotic, and I love it. It's stunning. Quite dark as well, which I really like. Of course, the Dark Royo is similar. The difference with these two is that the Dark Royo doesn't have the pips, whereas this one does. I first saw this featured on Sadhana's channel actually, and she was using it for past life readings, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to pick it up, because I was looking for some decks to do past life readings with. And this particularly, this image on the front here was really evocative for me in terms of past life memory, because I have had some dreams around past life memory in Egypt, and kind of like brutal dreams about that past life memory. So I found this like a really intriguing sort of deck to have, and I still love working with it. I just had to change my battery, so sorry if I look slightly disheveled or in a different position, that's the reason why. So these two decks I thought were my strangest decks, but then just as I was coming out of the room to bring these and film, I saw the Falakos Tarot, and this, I absolutely love this deck, but I think the Falakos is strange in that it doesn't particularly seem to stick to the meanings. I think you can apply the meanings and work the meanings with intuitive readings, but yeah, this deck tends to be sort of its own beast. And actually I think someone else mentioned the Tower of the She, which it gives me similar vibes. Like, I love the Tower of the She. I definitely get that similar kind of vibe, that it's sort of meant to be more of an intuitive read. I feel that way with this deck, and it's a very beautiful deck. I love working with this deck too, but it definitely is more of an original kind of deck that doesn't look like any other deck at all, and so for that reason I do think it's quite a strange deck. Okay, so the next question is the deck that other collectors are least likely to have in their collection. For this I was kind of scratching my head, but I did think the Celtic Wisdom Tarot, because again this is out of print, but also I never really hear anyone talking about this. I did see Kasha from Tarot Map, she did a video a few years ago about this deck, but apart from that I've never seen anyone do. Actually, I'm not sure, potentially Kelly from the Truth and Story did a video about this, but I'm not sure how many people have this in their collection. And when I've mentioned it to some other people that I know, they've not heard of the deck, and I love this deck, especially for working with sort of Celtic energies, and I do work with the Morrigan as a deity, and there is a card for her in this deck as well. It's a beautiful kind of druidic deck. It's by Caitlin Matthews and the illustrations are by Olivia Rayner. The illustrations are just stunning. I absolutely love them. And the system is slightly different again, so this could be one of my stranger decks as well. For each card there is like a story that goes along with the meaning, and you can definitely use your knowledge of Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, but it also has another dimension to it as well. But it's just beautiful. The suits have been changed to fit in line with like Celtic lore and mythology. This is the image of the Morrigan, and she is the Queen of Battle, and Battle is one of the suits. Okay, so the next prompt is your oldest deck, or the deck you've had the longest, so I will do both. So the deck I've had the longest is in this little bag, and it is special to me. It is my first ever tarot deck. This copy actually isn't my first tarot deck, but this is the first deck, and it's the one that a lot of people dislike because it's very yellow. But this is the original Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, and it's got this back here. The colours are very vibrant and yellow, and this is the first deck I ever got when I was 17 or 18, and I did end up getting rid of that deck, but this is the very same deck basically, just repurchased. So this is technically the deck I've had the longest, not literally, but technically the deck. So yeah, this to me is probably the one I would reach for in a fire, because it has such sentimental value for me, and Pixie's original art and just the original colouring as well. Like, I just absolutely love this. I love this deck so much. So even though it's yellow and it's not as pretty to look at as say the Centennial, I still absolutely adore this deck so much. So then there is this one, which is probably the oldest deck. I'm not actually sure how old it is, but it is my 1JJ Swiss tarot cards, and they're basically our Marseille. Let's see if we can figure out when this was. So this is 1970, and this is the Waddingtons. I picked this up on eBay. It was maybe £12. It was really good value. Obviously it's been used, and I did actually edge it and it didn't bleed, so I was really chuffed with that. Look at that. This is a really beautiful deck. I haven't actually read with this yet, but I do want to read with it. I have a plan to sort of learn a little bit about Marseille first before I sort of jump in. I love this imagery so much, and it made sense for this to be the deck that I picked up, and I'm really pleased to have this in my collection. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and the front is beautiful as well. It's really old, and I love it. I love it. So beautiful. Another oldie is my Morgan Greer. I don't have a recent copy of this, I just have this copy, and this is 1979. It was in good condition, but again used. But I just love that this is old. I haven't edged this one, I've kept it as it is. I quite like it as it is for some reason. It's got these backs, just the same imagery, but again without any borders, and I don't know, does the new one have borders? I have a feeling maybe I saw it with borders, I don't know, but I really like this version. I don't know why, there's something about this deck. So I didn't have this deck for the longest time, and then I found out my mother-in-law, who started reading playing cards when she was a teenager at a fete. It was kind of just a bit of a joke, but all of her predictions started coming true, and so she doesn't really read actively. She doesn't read tarot or playing cards actively anymore, but she has definitely got a talent and a sort of natural talent for it. She does have a tarot deck. I buy her oracle decks and stuff sometimes, but she does have a tarot deck, and she told me that she has the Morgan Greer, and she's had this for a very long time. And when she said that, I wanted a copy, but I didn't want a new one. I wanted an old one, so I had to pick up a vintage one. Again, on eBay, again, these go for quite a lot, but I waited. I had the alerts on, and I just waited until it was a reasonable price, and I made an offer, and I got it. I was so thrilled. I love it so much. The next prompt is your newest deck. I've received a few recently. So the Oak, Ash and Thorn arrived a few weeks ago. I also had the Hoodoo Tarot arrive, which I haven't yet used because I want to do a walkthrough of it. I also received the new Dark Goddess Tarot as well, which I haven't done a walkthrough. That's the new mass market edition. But the most recent to arrive has been this Murder of Crows Tarot by Corrado Roy. Oh, sorry, I butcher the names all the time. This arrived just the other day. Again, I want to do a walkthrough of this as well. I love the imagery in this deck. It is so dark. You can see it's still in order. I've not used it. I've not done a walkthrough. They are sketches. I think they're ink drawings. I love this one. This is my favourite. Because I work with the Morrigan, I work with Crow energy a lot, and this specific card made me think of the Morrigan as well, and this would be a High Priestess, so that would make perfect sense. It is just a stunning deck. Cannot wait to use it. I think it's going to be beautiful for during like the darker seasons, especially like around season of the witch kind of time, but I will probably use this all year round. I'm very excited to do a walkthrough soon and then get using it. So exciting. The deck that made you want to collect decks in the first place. I have two decks that made me want to collect decks. So up until just a few years ago, I just had my Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and that was it. But the deck that really made me want more tarot was the Moonchild Tarot. This was the next deck that I got, and I was like, well, I can't not have this deck. It is the most beautiful deck. I know a lot of people don't like collaged imagery and stuff, and you know, I can take it or leave it, it depends. It's not a deal breaker for me. I just love these backs, and I just love the imagery. I thought it was stunning, and it spoke to me in a kind of primeval sort of way. I felt like I knew some of these spaces and these moments, and it felt like a kind of cosmic deck that would sort of transcend time and space, and I just adore it. I don't read with it so often at the moment, but I read with it a lot when I first got it, and the guidebook is fantastic. So many beautiful nuggets in that guidebook. After this, it wasn't the next deck that I got, but the next deck that I got that did make me need to collect more, the Lightseers. It's just, I mean, obviously this is the mass market version, but this deck, this is just like, this brings joy to my heart, reading with this. And also I find that reading for others with this deck can be quite good as well, because I have some friends who aren't particularly fond of some of the more challenging imagery in the Rider-Waite-Smith, and this is really modern, really, of course, bohemian and beautiful to look at, and the devil in particular is not as confronting as the Rider-Waite-Smith version. So where is the devil in this? I'm sure you all know what it looks like, but let's see if we can find it. I just love this star. Isn't that amazing? The death card isn't as confronting. There it is. And the devil card certainly is not as confronting as the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, and that's a particular card that certain people I know don't like, and so it's nice to have an option to read for them if they want a reading with a deck that's not quite so confronting for them. So this is definitely one of the decks that made me want more decks. In all of this, I haven't shared any oracle decks. Of course, there are loads I could probably share with this. I think maybe I need to do a video for oracle and one for like tarot for this tag, but for now just the tarot will do, because I have a lot of oracle decks as well and I could never fit them into one. But oracle, I think, is kind of its own beast, so let's just go with tarot for now. I think I'm at the final prompt. Yes, your favorite deck from your collection. This is so hard because I love so many decks and I feel like I can't pick one. If I had to pick one because the house is on fire, it would be this, because of the memories. Even though it's not the most expensive deck, even though, you know, it's not the like the most beautiful deck, I don't think. It is the one that means the most, so this is the one I'd pick. But I can't say it's like my favourite to work with necessarily, because it changes, you know. I really like the Dark Days Tarot. I absolutely love working with the Bone Stone, of course. I love the Oak, Ash and Thorn. I really like the Herb Crafters Tarot as well. That is such a beautiful deck to work with. I've been working with the Tarot of the Vampires this season as well. I really love working with that. Absolutely love the Sassorobito Tarot and the Mermaid Tarot, and there are 2 Mermaid Tarot decks I love working with. So many. And then there's the vintage tarot decks I've talked about, and different kinds of tarot decks like the Falakos, and there are just so many that I love. But I will say this season I got out all my kind of witchy, Halloweeny appropriate decks, and apart from the Halloween Tarot, which is of course its own thing, the one deck that stood out to me that I wanted to work with the most was a surprise to me, but it was the Santa Muerte Tarot by Fabio Listrani, and it was something about the art in this, something about the way it made me feel close to my ancestors. Although this year has been really awful, last year was a tough year as well. We had some people who were very sick in our family. We lost a number of people in my family and in Tim's family, and we had some people recovering as well from sicknesses, and it was a really tough and challenging time, and 2 particular losses on my side of the family that really was very painful and still is. But you know, working with those dearly departed loved ones during this sort of time, you know, with ancestor veneration and such, has been really powerful, and using this deck just made me feel like really close to them in a strange way. I would have some of the cards repeat on me day after day, and I knew that I was connected to the deck. I have a really strong bond with this deck, and I never would have expected it. And there was, I remember a time last year when I did a reading with this deck near the death and funeral of one of my dearly departed loved ones, and the cards that came out played out this scene of like family love and, you know, burial, a funerary rite, and it brought me to tears, to be honest, to see it. There's something so special about this deck, and it's mass market, but there's something I have with this deck, and I didn't really know it until this season, getting it back out again and starting to work with it again properly. Like, there's something between me and this deck for sure. It's powerful. I can feel it right now, I can feel it. I will say that for now, this has been a really powerful tarot deck for me to work with. But like I said, I love so many decks of mine, and so many decks that I don't have yet that I love. I think it is really hard to say what is a favourite deck, but I have tried. I have absolutely loved sharing all of my answers to these prompts. It has been so much fun. I absolutely love taking part in these videos. There have of course been lots of other videos from this tag that I have seen and enjoyed. If you have done one, then please do let me know below, because I probably may have missed a few. It has been such an amazingly fun tag to do. So thank you so much to Brant at Moonbaby for starting this wonderful tag off. I absolutely love being part of this community. It has brought so much fun and light and laughter into my life, so thank you so much, and thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed seeing the tarot decks I had to share. If you did enjoy it, please do like the video and subscribe if you're new and you'd like to see more from me, tarot witchy content, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video really soon. Take care, bye. Mwah.